There are scenes I remember because they were exciting. There are scenes I remember because they surprised me. And then there are scenes I can barely think about without feeling the same thing I felt the first time I watched them. Before we go any further, major story spoilers ahead for Final Fantasy X, Shadow Hearts II Covenant, and especially Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If you have not finished any of them and want to experience these moments for yourself, this is your warning. What makes these 3 scenes stay with me is not simply that they are sad. It is the way each game builds toward them. The music, the performances, the cinematography, and that horrible moment when you realize exactly what the characters are being forced to face. So let's start with Final Fantasy X. For almost all of Final Fantasy X, the tragedy we are expecting belongs to Yuna. She is a summoner traveling across Spira knowing that, if she completes her pilgrimage, defeating Sin is supposed to cost her life. Tidus refuses to accept that. As he learns what the pilgrimage really means, saving Yuna becomes almost as important to him as defeating Sin itself. And eventually, they do find another way. Yuna survives. Sin is defeated. The cycle is broken. But by that point, Tidus has learned something about himself too. And after spending the entire game trying to save Yuna from a goodbye she had already accepted, the roles are suddenly reversed.
Yuna, I have to go. I'm sorry I couldn't show you Xanarkand. Goodbye.
Hey! We're gonna see you again!
Yuna!
That moment still gets me. And what hits me hardest is Yuna's first reaction. She does not stop and think about what is happening. She does not give some enormous dramatic speech. She sees Tidus disappearing and instinctively runs towards him. She tries to hold him, and she passes straight through him. There is something incredibly simple about that image, but it says almost everything the scene needs to say. For the entire game, Tidus has been the one desperately trying to stop Yuna from disappearing. Now Yuna is the one reaching for him, and there is absolutely nothing she can do. And the game does not rush in to make it easier. There is no last-second cure. No spell that suddenly makes Tidus real. No convenient loophole before the credits. They won. Yuna gets to live. Sin is gone. Spira finally has a future. And they still do not get the future they wanted together. That is probably why this ending has stayed with me for so long. The sadness is not there because the heroes failed. It is the price of their victory. Shadow Heart's Covenant approaches loss very differently because Yuri has already lost Alice before this game even begins. Alice was the person who managed to reach him when he was at his darkest, and her death hangs over almost everything Yuri does in Covenant. He jokes. He fights. He acts like Yuri. But she is never really gone from his mind. And then the game introduces the Emigrant manuscript. Suddenly, something that should be impossible starts to look just possible enough. There might actually be a way to bring Alice back. Roger Bacon helps Yuri prepare the ritual. They gather what they need. Everything is put in place. And after an entire game of Yuri living with her death, the story gives both him and the player something incredibly dangerous: hope.
Yuri.
Alice.
I love you.
I love you too.
That is what makes this scene so cruel to me. The resurrection does not simply fail. That would almost be easier. It works just enough. Alice actually comes back. For a few moments, Yuri gets to hear her voice again. She knows who he is. They can speak to each other. They can tell each other what they feel. And then the body cannot hold together. So Yuri does not simply have to live with losing Alice once. The game lets him believe, however briefly, that the impossible has happened. He has her back. I think Yuri himself is a huge reason the scene works. This is a character who spends so much of these games being loud, sarcastic, aggressive, and almost impossible to intimidate. He can fight monsters, demons, gods. He can punch his way through almost anything Shadow Hearts puts in front of him. But none of that matters here. There is nothing for him to fight. All he can do is watch. Final Fantasy X hurts because a goodbye becomes unavoidable. Shadow Hearts hurts because, for a few precious moments, it looks like the goodbye might actually have been undone. And then it isn't. And then there is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is the one that still gives me goosebumps. Partly because of what happens, but even more because of how patiently the game builds towards it. Mio is approaching the end of her term. From the beginning, the characters know there is a clock hanging over her. But for most of the game, it still feels like something's somewhere ahead of them. Then, N defeats the party. They are imprisoned. And suddenly, Mio's remaining time is not some distant problem anymore. She and Noah are separated by bars, and the days just keep passing. There is no dungeon to clear. No boss they can grind levels for. No clever plan Noah can execute. For once, the hero cannot do anything. He can only watch the time disappear.
Ad perpetuum rei memoriam.
Noah, giving up, now of all time?
I don't want to give up. But we're trapped here. our blades. I hope at least she can go in peace.
Of course Noah trapped. Noah still not tried to draw Lucky 7.
Huh?
Remember? Back when Riku give wisdom? When need of true power, sword will appear.
Yeah. I remember.
Today is day of need. Even at edge, facing sheer drop, must never give up.
Riku.
Mimi!
Mio! 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 Pick it up. You're an Offseer, so send her. What's wrong? Go on, send her. Isn't that your role? Isn't she your Mio?
It's been fun, Noah.
Mio!
The cinematography of that entire sequence is unbelievable. The game could have skipped most of the prison. It could have given us one conversation between Noah and Mio and then jumped forward to the homecoming. Instead, it makes us wait with him. Again and again, those bars are between them. The lighting changes. The days pass. Noah becomes increasingly desperate. Mio tries to accept what is coming. And because the game refuses to hurry, you become painfully aware of the same thing Noah is aware of. The clock is still moving. Then the homecoming arrives, and N turns Noah's helplessness into something deliberately cruel. He makes him watch. Noah has spent the entire game fighting impossible enemies, but at the moment that matters most, he is completely powerless. And when that scene first ended, I genuinely thought the game had done it. I thought Mio was gone. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was not finished with that scene yet.
I'm sorry. My hair, it's gotten kinda long. Will you still walk alongside me? Noah?
Mio! What? Impossible. You're... Ouroboros. Does that mean... back then, the two of you... So... the one who died is... Why, Mio? Why would you do this to me? You said you'd be by my side. Mio! All I did for you.
You must have known. The other me. She couldn't follow you anymore. She couldn't go on. What you see, those are our memories. Continuing uninterrupted since the world was taken captive a long time ago. Memories of me and him. Why are you showing me this? You are... No. All of you are my repentance. Repentance? How I wanted us to be. You embody all our hopes. Our dreams of how this world should be. Even though you and your friends should never have existed, the fact that you are here is proof enough. So you'll let me live. But if you go through with this, you'll be... To my Noah, the time with me is everything. I just want it to end. Mobius, like me, we can exist only by taking the souls of those that grace this world. Nobody pays the slightest mind to the thoughts and dreams those many lives espouse. We gorge ourselves, covered every ember, just to delay our inevitable ruin. That's why you want to disappear. If I die, maybe he'll see. Maybe he could somehow realize what it is that I wish. That would be enough.
And that reveal is why this whole sequence stays with me. Mio and M had exchanged bodies. The person Noah believed he had just watched die was M in Mio's body. His Mio is alive. On its own, that could have been nothing more than a fake-out death. But the scene does something much more interesting than that. Because suddenly the emotional meaning of everything we just watched changes. N wanted Noah to experience the same kind of loss that had destroyed him. He wanted another version of himself to understand that pain. Instead, Noah gets Mio back. And N is the one who has actually just lost his Mio. M chose to end the endless existence N had forced them into. She saves Noah's Mio, and at the same time, forces N to confront the one thing his entire existence was built around avoiding: loss. That is why the twist never felt cheap to me. The pain we saw from Noah was still real because Noah believed every second of it. His breakdown was real. Our reaction to it was real. The reveal does not erase any of that emotion. It redirects it. The prison. The waiting. The homecoming. Noah's helplessness. N's cruelty. Mio suddenly standing there again. And then the realization of who actually died. Even now, just thinking about this scene brings all of those feelings straight back. Looking at these three scenes together, I think I understand why they affect me in such a similar way. They are all about characters who are used to fighting impossible things suddenly facing something they cannot simply fight. Yuna reaches for Titus. Yuri gets Alice back for only a few moments. Noah is forced to watch the clock run out. And in every case, love is what makes that helplessness hurt. That is the part of JRPGs I never really outgrow. Give me enormous worlds, ridiculous final bosses, impossible magic, and characters saving reality itself. But the scenes I remember years later are often much smaller than that. Someone reaches for another person. And for once, there is nothing they can do. These are three of the JRPG scenes that broke me. And there are definitely more. What JRPG scene broke you emotionally? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this kind of video, consider liking and subscribing for more JRPG discussions like this.